Hello everybody, it is me Gavin, and we're back with episode 5 of the history of Kiola, and let's just get straight into it. Okay, so the top 5 militaries and economies have changed a bit, where the Three Rivers Empire has risen up to become the third strongest military. The Norwegian Empire has risen over the Roy in economy, and the Three Rivers Empire is now on here. Ooh, I have to change this. Actually what's going to happen here is that the Three Rivers Empire is going to be right here because the economy after the Civil War is ruined, and Great Union of Kiola is next. So we're going to start off with some stuff to the south. First off, we're just going to see a bit of expansion from Kiola, as well as Suroy around the lake, just continuing, growing their size a bit, finding more people consolidating their land in the steppe, and they find out about this peninsula. Suroy expands as well, and here kind of Yor, which we made last episode, and Suroy are going to run into each other with Suroy's expansion. The continent of Yor is going to expand as well, and they are not going to make a border, but they will find out each other. And these people are, I believe I said this before, but a reminder is that they're from the same culture. And so the continent of Yor says, Suroy. What do I say? Who are you? Suroy says, we are Suroy. The continent of Yor says, we are the continent of Yor. I see you are the same. You have the same people as us. We should join together. Suroy says, no, I want to keep my independence. And the continent of Yor is like, fine, we will have to fight a war. And we already started off with some nice war. So, make this little color. They bridge this little gap between the borders and begin their attack in this Suroy. The continent of Yor has powerful horse riders. And they begin to push into Suroy, who isn't ready to fight. But they're able to bring in their military and start to slow down the continent of Yor. We make a little spearhead here, but they're crushed, or pushed back. Better word, not really crushed. Then small skirmishes continue throughout the border. Suroy makes some gains. Yor takes some gains. Suroy is able to make some more gains. Yor makes a push, but Suroy eventually makes a large push, pushing back through all of this. And let me go ahead and make a color, because around here is like, I'm taking the land. They push in eventually to the continent of Yor, taking a lot of their land. And as they push in, they see how it goes this way, so they send in a sneaky little attack here with a smaller army, hoping to find their land as they continue to push into the continent of Yor. And they find this attack, but it is pushed back by the continent of Yor, who also begins to push them back a bit. And they go along here and make their own attack into Suroy. And the war has reached a bit of a stalemate here, and so we'll go ahead and go back over here. And Paranite Aloka, wanting to encompass everything, just like their two gods, the suns, who I already forgot the names of. Give me one moment. Drawn and Lore are going to make a large expansion along the river here, along the coast, and their colonies as well, which are going to expand a bit when the coast and meet up, and just keep expanding. And at this point, they're going to begin construction of a grand bridge, which will go from here to here. But without the proper resources, it is somewhat difficult, and they just start building. Over here, Izov will expand a bit down the coast. Sukhov will expand as well. And then we will see in the middle here another formation of the same culture. So let's find a good color. I like grime. Did I use this color anywhere? No. And this culture is going to be Firov. And they're actually going to use very primitive boats and have some land over here because these are pretty basic tribes. And then over here, some of the people in the Quranic colony who don't want to be under the leadership of Norasia anymore are going to band together down here and run down this river and form their own country. Let me find a good color for this. No, I use terracotta. What about this color? I need to use like yellow, I feel like. Actually, we need more like red, but like maybe persimmon. I like this color. And they're going to form their little nation along the river here. And they are going to be known as Arai. And I realize now that I need to do this little stuff. There we go. Okay, and heading back up here, Jokla is going to make more expansions down the river. And just small expansions. They're going to expand a bit over here as well on their border with Soria, who is going to also expand a lot and just take over all this island and peninsula. Then up here we are going to see expansion from Deroy once more, and after encountering more of Skull, Plos, and Srock, which are now named, Norasia will also expand and will encounter these nations, and they will begin an invasion into Srock. And it will go fairly well, and they'll invade Plos as well. And Norasia, seeing this, will invade Skull and take a lot of this land, and it will form a border here. And Deroy will invade Skull as well, Plock, and these guys will fall pretty easily. And we see some new borders. And another thing to mention is that these three nations were of their own culture called the Aroinans, which the nation over here along the rivers that Etona conquered were Aroinans. The Feroi Raiders were also Aroinans. So the Aroinans kind of live up here. And so there's a sort of minority of them within Norasia, Deroy, and Etona. And so they're definitely going to want their freedom at some point. And their religion is where they believe in just a single god known as Gior, who created all life and is just the source of life and the creator of everything. And Gior's the earth and the sun and all the planets are like the embodiment of Gior. Etona is going to also make an expansion to the west here, continuing their little panhandle. And as they find this river, they're going to kind of expand. And the Triple River Empire is also going to expand, eventually meeting Etona, as well as just consolidating their land on the rivers. And just continuing a large expansion, wanting to take over all of the rivers, which is a lot more than they really are ready for. But we can see now that there's 4 pretty large nations, and Deroy is turning into Chile, the country. And over here, we're going to go back to the 3 nations of Portal, Doral, and Iria. Or Portally, I mean. And Iria is going to continue expanding their colony. I'm going to change this real quick. Alright, I redrawn the borders. There's been some expansions as well, and I just replaced a lot of the studs. I regret making it with the really big studs, as you can see here, like how big this is. It's just way much larger than I want it to be. But we're going to see a little war here where Poorly is going to declare war on Dorel. Because they honestly, they want to take all of this culture for themselves, all of this island as well, all this land. And so, with a bit of the element of surprise, they'll make some initial pushes into Dorel and threaten actually this large city, which I believe is their capital. I don't remember. Things were happening on this island, but I lost most of it, so I honestly don't remember it. But we're just saying this is their capital. But they're going to take this large city, and they're going to actually cut off Dorel from their colony. And seeing this, Iria is actually going to join in on their own side. He can't. No. And push in to Dorel in the south, and then push into Poorly in the north. And Poorly is not going to be ready for this. And with a lot of their military focused on Dorel, Dorel will lose their capital, lose all of their land, and actually just capitulate. But Iria is now in the war and is going to push into Poorly, retake this major city. And in the south, they're going to find victory, and in the north as well. While Poorly continues to advance to the center, hoping to take the mainland of Iria. A smaller force in the colonies will move along here and start to push into the colony as they're pushed back here. And with their primitive sort of, if you remember, Sonai, Iria is going to take more of this land, and the colony falls because Poorly has very little troops there. And while their large cities are threatened, that was Poorly's land. Whoops. Poorly's going to now retake this land. But then Iria is going to launch a naval invasion, which is going to surround their capital and besiege it, while Poorly is pushed back a bit, unable to lay siege to the capitals of Iria. And eventually their capital falls and their nation begins to crumble with a large assault as Iria also takes back this land and eventually becomes the victor in this war. And this consolidates all of these islands, and once more we see a sort of push towards consolidation. That was the dice again, where smaller nations just combine in wars to become bigger nations. But at this age, peoples are not going to enjoy this. The colony is also expanded, and Iria is probably now the largest nation. I just want to fix some of these a little bit, make the borders a bit nicer. If we look at this, actually, I would say Three Rivers Empire is the largest, and then Iria, and then Greater Utona, Noreja, Jakla, Deroy, and it's going to be the Samani nations, and I'm actually probably like whatever it's called, Soria. But we'll go ahead and get rid of all of these. This one is the capital of Iria, so we'll give it a little name. I like that. Do this, and Iria is going to form the Irian Federation. Not really empire, they don't want to do that. The way they see it, they're not an empire. So, also, if we were to look at what everybody knows, the Triple River Empire knows about Etona. Etona knows about Noreja, Deroy, and then a bit about down here, like Daria. Norris knows about Jokla. They know about all of these guys. They don't know about Triple Rivers. They don't know about Soria. They don't know about Arai. Arai just knows about the Karani colony. Jokla is going to just know about Soria and the colony, and they're actually going to sail across here and find Deroy, and realizing that right over here is Norris. Well, here's Jokla says, "Who are you?" Deroy says, "We are Deroy." "Who are you?" Jokla says, "We are Jokla. We were just sailing across the sea to discover what lay on the other side." And Deroy says, "I see. I will not destroy you if you don't attack me then." Jokla says, "Do you know this nation of the Norwegian Empire?" And Deroy says, "Yes, they are right on my border." And Jokla says, "Oh, so they are across the sea then?" "We are on the other side of the sea, but they have taken lands over here as well." And Deroy says, "I see. So we are both a threat then. Would you like to form an alliance?" And Jokla is like, "Sure. I already have a ally as well, and we can form a defensive pact and union, kind of, on this eastern side of Norris, on both sides of the sea." And they say, "Great." And they sort of share little maps, so now Deroy knows about Jokla and Soria. The Sabani know about all of the Ionasi here, but not Triple Rivers, and then they know about all of this and Jokla, but not Arai. Kawhi just knows about Soroi and Eor. These tribes all know about each other. This guy's isolated. These guys know about each other, and that's it. An area is isolated. And so we're going to see the continuation of the war here, where it's already been a year has passed with several battles and stuff. Soroi takes back some of their land, but Eor pushes back some of their land as well. And let's go ahead and change the year up here. Year 25. And the population is rising rapidly, and they're now at 600,000. And as well as Soria is going to continue to make some expeditions and find these islands and continue to make a bit of an island empire, really. And with the war continuing to rage, this entire side just is done. They stop fighting here, and they just keep fighting on the main front, which expands a bit. But as the troops falter, Khanate of Eor pushes back some here, but they start to lose some land. Push back, but they lose here. And it just becomes a stalemate, so they decide to sign a white peace, where Soroi conquers this land in between, Eor conquers this land in between. They both take this opportunity to expand a little bit, and the borders move much closer. And both nations are weakened from this, but they understand now that there can be threats in military, specifically Soroi more so, whereas Eor was more of a militarized nation. And they both are going to grow stronger over time from this. We're going to see an expansion of Arai down the river and just taking a bit more land in the desert, but not too much away from the river because it's just dry desert that they don't really care about. Koa is going to fully take this peninsula and all of the land outside of the desert around the lake, and they're going to grow pretty large. The Karani colony is going to expand a bit down the river, and just in general, a large expansion. Jokla is going to expand a lot of this land in the rainforest on the edge of the desert, assimilating a large tribe there that didn't really have a government. Neria is going to find the end of this river and take it, and the Somalian Federation is just going to expand out to not be surrounded by their neighbors. Norse is also going to expand this country a bit, or colony. And Etona is going to expand a bit as well. And we're just seeing a lot of rapid expansion, conquering, and just large nations forming and taking over the entire world. And we're going to see some more conflict between the Jok tribes, where Goja is going to keep trying to flee along the coast, expanding. Hoke is also going to expand and find the end of the marshlands. And then Hoke is going to send a deal to Kolju, who they're going to team up on Vogue. And they begin an attack. And with a dual front attack, Vogue is outnumbered and can't put all their forces to fight everywhere, and so the war ends quickly and the new borders are drawn. Joel and Joka see this as their last opportunity to take down Kolju. That's the dice again, and so they declare war on Kolju. And Joka begins an attack over here. Knowing the location of Kolju's capital, they push for it. Well, I don't know if that's Kolju's capital. We'll just say it is now. They cut off its access to the sea over here with Joel and push in as well. But Kolju has a large army, and so they send their troops down here. They send their troops in the center here, down the river, and split Joka down the middle. And also make a large offensive over here, even as they lose this land and their capital is threatened. They fight, they bring troops over here and fight a defense, while they let Joel push in because they don't really care about this land. It wasn't theirs. They're able to push back Joka while pushing into them. And eventually, they're completely pushed back, and Joka is looking like they're going to lose. They're secluded on this peninsula and destroyed. Then, as the troops move towards Joel, they are pushed back here, and even with their advances down here, it doesn't matter. And as they get pushed back, and Joel is destroyed as well, and Kolju now becomes the major power. But with all these tribes, they are going to change into the Tribal union. No, we'll just put it as a joke union. And to avoid this, Goja is going to sort of migrate a bit, shift their borders, where they're going to leave behind this land and just expand over here down this way. And so the joke union is going to send a sort of diplomat to Hogue, and they're like, we have been allies before, and we would like for you to join our union of the tribes peacefully. And they are going to accept because they have good relations, and they see that it is a sensible choice to do, because staying independent will just make them weaker. This will make them more powerful, and they won't have to fight any sort of wars and be at threat of invasion by the powerful union, who's going to expand a bit as well to consolidate their position within the marshlands, because they want to own the entire marshlands and all of the smaller, not organized tribes with little government. It's just more consolidation, really. But soon we will see the fall of empires. But that is going to be in the next episode, and we will end this episode here. We've done a fair bit of progress with new nations and wars, and a lot of consolidation. And I'll just make a little expansion here. To end off the episode, Izov is going to make a large expansion. And I really hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell so that you can stay tuned for the next upload, which I'm going to be uploading this pretty frequently. But I hope you all have a nice day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.